The lead investor and backer of All Elite Wrestling, Shad Khan, recently made a statement promising fans a new golden age of wrestling with a roster comprised of the top wrestlers in the world. Bringing in the top wrestlers of the world could be a pretty challenging task, but they have at least started well with signing one of the biggest talents in the wrestling world, that being former WWE champion Chris Jericho. It was made official just hours ago, as during the AEW Rally in Jacksonville, Florida, after Pac had also confirmed signing with the promotion, it looked like Conrad Thompson was wrapping things up as the roster had now tallied up to 16. But suddenly, Fozzie's song Judas began to play, with the crowd realizing that Jericho was here. Y2J emerged out and told the crowd, "I am Chris Jericho and I'm all in with All Elite Wrestling." Surprise? Jericho then posted a video of him and Tony Khan on Instagram signing the AEW contract to make it official. Again, whilst AEW shouldn't be considered as any serious competition to WWE as of right now, the signing of one of its former biggest stars demonstrates that the Khans will be doing a lot to secure big talent, and this signing certainly raised a few eyebrows at Titan Towers, as just moments after the official signing, WWE kind of retaliated by moving Jericho to its alumni page on WWE.com, where ultimately Jericho is now destined to be a creative wrestler in WWE 2K20. But why did Jericho sign with AEW? Well, we have 3 reasons why. Number 1. Problems with Vince. Jericho had maintained a healthy and good relationship with Vince McMahon and WWE for almost 20 years. When Jericho left WWE in 2017, he told Vince he was concentrating all his efforts on his music band Fozzy, promoting their new album Judas. However, once the tours and promoting the album was over, Jericho agreed to wrestle in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Vince was reportedly all for it at the beginning and gave Jericho permission to wrestle, as contrary to Dave Meltzer's report, he was still under contract with WWE, with Jericho appearing sporadically in 2018. But once Jericho returned to New Japan Pro Wrestling, he felt Vince had an issue with him wrestling there despite not being under contract with WWE anymore. Appearing on Busted Open Radio, Jericho mentioned, "I called him and I told him about it and he was all for it. And then when I told him I was going to do more, he wasn't really negative, but wasn't supportive. But I think now it might have become a little bit of a slight issue. It's another company out there, and I know for a fact that Vince takes every company very seriously. I feel that if my involvement with New Japan continues, I'm going to get a call one of these days." It's possible Jericho continuing to wrestle with other promotions has touched a nerve with WWE's head honcho. Number 2. He wants to be more creative. One of the main issues with working in WWE is creative control. There is none. Vince McMahon calls all the shots, and simply put, if you're not happy with the plans, you can tell him about it, but it probably won't make any difference in the overall decision making. Appearing on Busted Open Radio, Jericho also mentioned why it's fun not to work for Vince right now. In WWE, when you work there, once again, you gotta go with whatever it is that he wants you to go with. That's fine. When you work for Vince, that's just the way it is. But it's fun not to work for Vince right now and have some of these other ideas that you can kind of explore. One of Jericho's best gimmicks of all time was the List of Jericho, as Jericho would write down and compile a list of wrestlers in WWE that have bothered him in some sort of way. Some include his first entry of Mick Foley for sabotaging their friendship and having a terrible fashion sense, and also a number of wrestlers for being quote-unquote a stupid idiot. The problem is WWE loved the gimmick, but Jericho doesn't want to go back to it if he ever returned. Jericho wants to evolve from that character. He recently mentioned, "WWE is WWE. I have an almost 20-year history there. I could walk in the door tomorrow and know exactly what to do to get that reaction, and I'll tell you one thing, there won't be a list. That's done. I mean, I don't feel it anymore. It doesn't feel right, but the thought of walking in with a list, it's like I just don't feel it. It's like when I see DX for example, and they come out with DX shirts and that sort of thing, it doesn't feel the same. You know they should change the name or something, but that's their thing. My thing is never do the same thing, because that's when people get bored of you, complacent. I don't like that. If I'm gonna still be wrestling, I still want to be at the top of my game and still creating moments that people will always remember. The only way I can do that is changing who I am as a character and what I do in the ring and out of the ring that's constantly evolving. With AEW, Jericho would have that creative control and be able to evolve his character. And number 3, he won't be in the main event in WWE. While speaking on his podcast show Talk is Jericho, Jericho mentioned that even though he can return to WWE at any time, he wouldn't want to because he knows he will be demoted to the mid-card. There would be no chance of him headlining Wrestlemania again. Instead, Jericho believes he'll be facing off against the same wrestlers he worked with 1,000 times before. With AEW, it's certain that Jericho will not be treated as a mid-card act. He will be placed into the main event. What do you guys think of Jericho signing with AEW? Let us know in the comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.